This is the Scoop Slam Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Scoop Slam Podcast. We're here with a special edition. We're going to be reviewing the biggest wrestling show in history. AEW All In from London was this past weekend. They managed to fit 80,000 in there, or a little over. So we got to talk about it. Overall, a good card and a lot of backstage rumors coming out of it. But before we get too far, let me introduce ourselves. I'm Micah, and my co-host is beating up little kids in the locker room. It's Ryan.
Yo, Micah, ready to scoop it, slam it, and it is great to be back here with you, buddy.
Quick turnaround. Feels like we just got done recording the past weekend. But
Yeah.
we're on a higher note this week.
Yeah.
All In from
Got one.
London. Big
Oof.
show.
Yeah. Oh, was he there?
Well, he actually was. He was in the ring earlier for Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs. We're gonna get to Miro in a little bit. Before we get to any matches or really big storylines coming out of it, I want to say it was overall a spectacle to see that many people in an arena that wasn't for a WrestleMania or a special WWE pay-per-view. And I gotta give props to AEW for the presentation, because typically that's where they differ from WWE. But I want to say that while it wasn't exactly on the same level, I feel like this was one of the best produced shows in AEW history. If nothing else was positive out of it, that was one of the biggest positives.
Yeah, you gotta give him credit too. They did it for the first All In. Nobody thought they could fill up a 10,000 seat arena for the first All In. They did, and nobody could have predicted they would fill up 70,000 plus in Wembley. I mean, what were we saying? We were saying like 50,000, 60,000. That would be on the high end that they could do, and then they almost got 90,000 people in there.
Yeah, they blew us out of the water. I want to say we both said like 40 would still be good, but that was like our expected total. And I was like, if they do 60, that's great. And then, here we are.
Yeah, we got to give credit to Cody Rhodes. He is well, I'm just saying, he was the founder of All In. He was the catalyst, the first All In, Micah. You got to give him credit for that.
Maybe some. I think they did give him a little nod, but I'm not sure that you could put it all on his shoulders per se. But, let's go ahead and start. I ain't saying all that. Thank you, Tony. Maybe that'll work a little better.
Never.
But before we get to the main card, let's go ahead and talk about the pre-show, because a huge storyline came out of it. And we're not going to talk about the matches themselves, but more just the results, because I know we both didn't watch the pre-show.
Nope.
So the first match on the pre-show was MJF and Adam Cole defeating Aussie Open for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships. This kind of surprised me, but I was interested to see where it was going to go for the rest of the night. I think it ended up playing well into the main event, and from all accounts, I heard that this match was solid.
Nah, good for them.
The second match on the pre-show, and the one that is probably the most talked about pre-show match of all time now, is Hook defeating Jack Perry for the FTW Championship. So let's go ahead and talk about this before we get into the actual match. So we'll go in chronological order. Jungle Boy and Punk had this whole debate. We haven't really talked about it because we missed a week, mainly when all this came out. And this past week was, it's just a bad week for wrestling with a lot of losses. So we didn't really talk about the negatives. We tried to focus more on the positives of Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk and what they did, for us as wrestling fans. So this whole thing about glass, Punk didn't want Jungle Boy to use real glass for an angle. He wanted to, yada yada. Big deal online, but nothing really came out of it. During the match, Jungle Boy pulls the camera in, slaps the glass on top of a car that they had a spot planned for, and said, "This is real glass. Go cry me a river." So, very tongue-in-cheek remark, and as we know now, Punk and Joe were the match that was next up. So, obviously, Jack Perry gets to the back. Him and Punk are face to face. Here's where the story forks, because the report originally from Sean Ross Sapp was that Jungle Boy got in Punk's face. They started arguing. Punk shoved him. They got in a shoving fit. Punk put him in a headlock. Pie-faced him. All that business.
Which seems to be the common story. Like the common factor in the whole thing, that Punk did put him in a headlock.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that everybody's agreed on.
Which is funny.
Yeah, because even the punches are debated. They're like, there was no. I've read there was no punches thrown. There's some punches thrown. It's insane. So then another report comes out that Punk initiated it, and I think that's the one that a lot of people are running with. That Jungle Boy came back through. Punk said, "Do you have a problem with me?" They started bickering back and forth, and Jungle Boy said, "Why don't you do something about it then?" And Punk proceeded to shove him and then maybe pie face him, but he definitely put him in a headlock. So reports then come out that Samoa Joe is the one that broke it up. Apparently, Tony was hit by some stray monitors. I wish there was a camera back there during in the day and age we live in. Why are these things never recorded?
Make some good TV.
Hey, AEW All Access. That's what we need.
AEW Backstage Assault.
Sounds like a video game. That's what they should have titled the video game.
That was a video game. That was WCW's video game.
Oh yeah, Here Comes the Pain. I could have named it that too.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, then reports come out that Punk's transportation was messed up on the way. He never had a taxi to take him to his hotel when he landed, and then he had to take a train, and he got lost. And the travel coordinator in his bio has stand-in Young Buck, and he's a former wrestler who I think got a nepotism job. So that's a whole. You said,
did he? Who he was? Yeah, I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was a wrestler.
I've never heard of him before, but until all this. But like I said, he had the thing about stand-in Buck. He's got a pro wrestling tees shop.
Of course.
Everyone is this guy?
I don't know. We should get on PWTs, man.
Scoop Slam merch coming to you soon.
Yes, sir.
But so yeah, that whole thing with the travel happens, and then reports.
You think he tried to call Christopher Daniels?
Oh man,
Christopher Daniels got his number blocked or something.
Well, he did try to call a number and it bounced, so it could have been it. So then fast forward, and just more stuff is coming out. Apparently, him and Tony got in a well, I won't say they got in a yelling match. Apparently, Tony yelled at him after. Punk said he hates his place, doesn't want to work here anymore, tried to not go out there, got willed to go out there by Samoa Joe. And then another report came out today from Brian Alvarez, of all people. And when you sent me that, I told you I don't know, because it's the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and I remember when Brian said, yeah, the belief in the company is that CM Punk's not going to come back, and now look at this.
Yeah.
He reported that Punk and Miro almost got in a fight as Punk came back. And that's the story we were running with, which was really funny because earlier in the day, me and you had been talking about, I think you made the statement that, yeah, he just did it to Jungle Boy because he knew Jungle Boy wouldn't do anything. He's smaller than him. You were like, what? He wouldn't do that to Miro. And then a report came out about him trying to do it to Miro. So,
okay, I stand corrected.
yeah, I was dying. It felt like some kind of weird thing where they were listening to our conversation and then it happened in real life.
It seems like Punk was listening in on the Observer radio because he immediately a report came out from Nick Hausman, which we all know Nick Hausman is basically CM Punk's journal to get his story out to the dirt sheets. He said that story was completely false and that there was no altercation with Miro or confrontation with Miro. So, man, who knows? I don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah, and we're not even at the end of the whole thing yet.
No, keep on going, man.
Yeah, then the report about him and Miro having an incident is negated by Sean Ross Sapp, who said that what was said to him was it was a joke. Punk came back there and said, oh, what, do you want to fight me now? And apparently they rode to the arena together. So there's no heat there. There was a report that Jungle Boy was sent home and Punk was asked to stay, and then it turned out that Punk left of his own accord. And I still feel like I'm forgetting something.
Whoa. Hold up. Miro did send out a tweet saying that the reports was false when the story came out that Jack Perry was the aggressor. He said that was false. So it might be some heat there with him and Punk. I don't know.
Well, I mean, maybe, but he might have just been playing around. Or the fact that they said that Punk, because in that report it said Punk pie-faced him. He could have been talking about that, too. Because, there's conflicting reports about a punch being thrown.
A pie face is disrespectful, though, man. I kind of want to be punched other than pie face.
Well, I mean, who knows? Apparently, they're suspended, and then Sean Ross Sapp said, no, they're not suspended. Punk hasn't been informed of a suspension. And then Nick Hausman says, well, Punk wasn't informed, but his lawyer was informed. And Dave Meltzer says, no, they're definitely suspended. And then the promotional package for AEW for All Out in Chicago this weekend has Punk advertised. So, who knows?
I got to sell tickets, brother.
Well, I don't think they're going to sell many if Punk's not on the card, not in Chicago.
That's why you advertise.
And all this transpired before we even got to the first match.
Yep.
So, who knows? Who knows who's wrong? Who knows what's right? Who knows if they're going to be punished? Who knows if it's a work? I honestly don't think anybody. Because wrestling journalism sucks, and I know we sit here and say that as sort of wrestling journalism. We more just give our thought pieces about it, but I mean, who can you believe? I'm not saying that these people are liars. I'm just saying that their sources are liars.
Seems to be more conflicting stories whenever there's drama with AEW. Like if there's some WWE drama, everyone usually has the same story. But with AEW, if there's backstage drama, man, Sean Ross Sapp will have something. Meltzer will have a different story. Then you got Wade Keller with a completely different story. I don't know, man. Who do we believe? Who do we believe, man?
Punk. In Punk we trust.
No, get out of here. He might not come back.
Yeah, and then that's another report too. He might not come back. Oh, who knows? I'm not gonna say that if he did pie face him, that was right. I also don't think that Jungle Boy should just be allowed to say that, and Punk should be expected to be the mature person in the room and not do anything because he is supposed to be the locker room leader. Okay, so we're just gonna let people walk all over him and they can say whatever.
Well, hold up now. Phil Brooks can make out of pocket remarks to people after the show when he called out Hangman Adam Page. He can do that and not have any repercussions. But when Jungle Boy makes an offhand remark that pretty much went over a lot of people's head, because I didn't even realize what he was talking about when he did that whole "this is real glass" thing. When he does that, it's a problem. But when Punk does it, it's just another Saturday night. Now, let's be fair now, Micah. Let's be fair.
Well, I
Yeah.
will say this. I'm not gonna defend what Punk said about Adam Page, even though I agree with it. But he apologized after, and obviously, I don't think Jungle Boy apologized too much after the fact.
I don't know, man. It seems like Punk can pretty much get away with saying whatever he wants. But then when somebody else tries to do that to him, he seems to have. But I don't know Phil Brooks personally. I just get the vibe that he is a hypocrite. That's just me, man. I don't know these guys, but just let me ask you something, Micah.
Okay.
If you're Tony Khan, what do you do next? Is a suspension out the question if you're Tony Khan?
No, because well, I think it really depends on what. Okay, let me ask you this before I get too deep into this. What story are we going off of? Are we going off the Punk initiated the conversation or Jungle Boy initiated the conversation?
Let's just say it was a confrontation in the back.
Okay.
So that seems to be the only factual thing we can get out of all these reports. There was a confrontation with these two.
Okay.
So what do you do?
So obviously Eddie and Sammy got into a fight. Andrade and Sammy got into a fight.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, so there's a precedent in place for fighting. So yes, both of them will have to serve a suspension. If it's 30 days, okay. I wouldn't start it.
Wait, didn't I don't think Sammy got anything when he got beat up by Andrade.
Yeah, I don't think but I don't think he fought back. Did Jungle?
Oh, he just took it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I think Jungle Boy did shove back, so I guess it's like school where you can't defend yourself, which I think that's a lot of what Punk's doing anyways, but that's besides the point. So 30-day suspension, if that's the protocol, whatever they gave Eddie and Sammy and Andrade, whatever. We'll say 30 days for the sake of this argument. I'm going to enact that after All Out because it's Punk's hometown. It's Jungle Boy, who is upper mid-card and probably could have a spot on the card. I don't know if he is or not. If he's not going to have a spot on the card, he can go ahead and start his suspension. Punk, I feel like you need him there. If you need to do it for the sake of fairness, then have them both wait a week, have Jungle Boy have a match on Dynamite, or have him be on the pay-per-view, whatever. But Wednesday at TV, as their boss, I'm getting Punk, I'm getting Jungle Boy, I'm getting the Young Bucks, I'm getting Kenny Omega, I'm getting Adam Page, I'm getting FTR, I'm getting the House of Black, I'm going to get Miro, I'm going to get Samoa Joe. And for a mediator or a middle of the road party, let's go
Christopher Daniels.
I mean, yeah, sure, we can go Christopher Daniels. Let's go JR.
Oh man.
I mean, he's not going to break anything up, but he's been there.
Just seems cranky and tired now.
Well, we'll get there. I'm going to get all those guys, maybe even Jericho, some kind of mediating middle of the road party. All of my AEW security is being in that room. And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to tell everybody that you are contractually obligated to work at this company. These are the things you're going to do. These are the things you're not going to do. If you don't like it, there's the door. You're not paid to sit home. You're not getting paid unless you're showing up to wrestle and to do your job. And other than that, we're going to sit here and it's going to be an AA meeting, like Samoa Joe said. Punk's going to talk, the Bucks are going to talk, and everybody's going to sit here and hash out every little bit of what they have to say, and we're going to work something out. And if something breaks down, we got security in there. And past that, if you don't want to be at the meeting and you walk out the door, we'll take that as you're done. Your contract's up. We're cutting it. You're either going to be paid out for the rest of it, or I don't know how the legal crap works in that aspect. But something's got to be done, and Tony is their boss. He is giving them checks. It's time to say, okay, I've had enough. Like, you've got to work together, or you're not working at all.
Well, I don't even think it's the Bucks and Omega that are necessarily to blame for this particular incident or the last couple incidents where Phil Brooks has been throwing out everybody from the Collision locker room. I think we need to have a conversation with Phil Brooks more than the Bucks and Omega.
Well, yes, but I feel like that's causing a divide between everybody because Ryan Nemeth, friend of the Bucks, Daniels, friend of the Bucks, Jungle Boy, friend of the Bucks. So I know they're not necessarily involved right now, but the stupid can't be on this show, can't be on that show is just, it's dumb. If you want to have the Dynamite show be more elite centric and the and Collision be more punk centric, that's fine. But to the point that they can't even be in the same radius, even though they work for the same guy who's paying them, that's ridiculous. I'm not saying Tony has to be this guy who's like, oh, all tough and big and bad, but like it's bullcrap. He's their boss. If he don't want to say it, tell somebody else to say, put their foot down.
Well, if you're the Bucks and Omega, why would you want to work with a guy like Punk, man?
Because he's making money. Known.
Is he? They just sold out Wembley. They didn't even announce Punk. They announced no matches, and they sold 80,000 tickets. Is he really making them that much money?
He basically got them a Saturday TV show, and I'm sure they're getting a rights deal cut for that.
I think they probably could have got it without him, honestly. They got the Friday show without him.
Okay, well, No. He came in on the first episode of the Friday show.
But that wasn't they didn't create the Friday show because of CM Punk.
Well, either way, the Warner higher up loves Punk because he does numbers. So he's benefiting that company in some form or fashion. And as
but if you can't
EVP,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was gonna say, as an EVP, your mind should be on the business aspect of it. And if Punk is generating business and doing good business, then he should be somebody you should try to keep. Now, if he's going to be miserable, at this point, and I say this as a enormous CM Punk fan, I tweeted this out today, it's never going to be 2021 and 2022 again. The honeymoon period of Punk being there is over.
Yeah, and if you're the Bucks and Omega, how can you trust Punk, man? How can you trust him? He's gone off script with Hangman a couple weeks ago. He throwing out Ryan Nemeth, poor old undercard Ryan Nemeth, knowing he couldn't do anything about it. And then he confronts Jungle Boy, if the reports are true. He confronts Jungle Boy, knowing that Jungle Boy can't do anything about it. Well, why would I trust this guy? Why would I work with him? I'm not working with you.
Well, that's fair, but that's what I'm saying that meeting needs to be about. Like, just as much
call my lawyer. Call my lawyer. I'm not coming to that meeting. And what are you gonna do if they say that?
You can sit at home and not be paid.
That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. You know that's not gonna happen.
I know, but that's what, like, to me as a talent, if I'm paying you and I've went to these lengths, then you should respect me enough as your boss that when I ask you to come in a couple hours early so that we can get this company on the right foot moving forward, you should respect
Yeah,
me enough to be in there.
I think it's too far gone though. Like, you ever had a cool boss, Micah, that pretty much treats you like, an equal?
Yeah.
Once they start put their foot down, you never like truly respect them. You just kind of laugh it off if they tell you to go do something. Like, it's too far gone. Tony Khan is their friend, and that's how they see him. So they're never gonna give him that respect that like a Vince gets or a Triple H gets.
That's a really good point. Honestly hadn't thought about it that way. I will also say this, because I texted you this today. We have both worked in the same place. We have both worked with the same people. I mentioned
Yeah,
a certain people that I did not enjoy working with. Um, I did not like the way that they presented themselves when we worked together. I didn't like the way that they came in and immediately took over and acted like they were my boss. That's not something that I gelled well with. Not once did I get in a shouting match with them. Not once did I even really have a cross word with them. I worked with them for what, another year, I think. So
yeah,
you don't have to like these people, but it's a job, and if you want to get paid, you got to get paid. Like, I mean, I know it's not that simple, but
yeah. Yeah, everybody's under guaranteed contracts now. It's not like how it used to be, where you had to work a particular house show or you didn't get paid. These guys are gonna get paid regardless. No matter if you send them home or not, they're still gonna get paid for the remainder of their contract.
well, let me flip this question on you then. If you're Tony Khan, what are you gonna do?
Well, just go back to our 2022 Scoopy predictions. And I said, if I'm Tony Khan, I'm firing Phil Brooks. In the problem. He's the common denominator, Micah. You can spin it any way you want, but whenever there's controversy, you can usually tie it back to Phil Brooks. And that's just the way it's been since Brawl Out. You and I both know that. When he wasn't there, there wasn't nearly as well, there was controversy, but it wasn't like this. It didn't they just had their biggest pay-per-view of all time. And nobody's really talking about the masterclass that MJF and Adam Cole had in the main event, storytelling wise. People are talking about whether or not CM Punk rode to the show on a train or not. Come on, man.
And you got a good point. I disagree with you. I think it should not come to that yet. But because as much as yes, he might be the common denominator in all these issues, it's also not just his fault every single time.
Yeah, it's not going to completely heal the company. It's maybe just putting a band-aid on like a gunshot wound if you fire Punk, because I still think there are deeper issues with how Tony Khan is managing all these guys, but it definitely would take care of a lot of short-term problems that they have. And Punk is not gonna make or break. He's not gonna. The company's not gonna close up shop if they release CM Punk. I mean, I know you love CM Punk, Micah. He moves T-shirts. Those T-shirt numbers are a drop in the bucket to the revenue, I'm sure. Did he get him a Saturday show? Debatable. I still think they would do the same numbers without him. And let's be honest, they're about to go into their toughest stretch with college football anyway. So I doubt Punk is going to do any numbers on Saturday if he doesn't get fired. So I just think you would mask some problems by getting rid of Punk at the moment. And that should start with firing him Yeah, I would fire him publicly, actually. But I would have fired Phil Brooks, man.
Well, I mean, we'll see where it goes. I honestly have no
What's the percentage you think that he would come back? Give me a percentage.
a percentage that he's coming back.
Yeah. Are you 80% sure he's coming back?
I'd say
90?
like 65 to 70, just because we don't know all the details. Like, I mean, I honestly don't know. Like, he could open up Dynamite Wednesday, and I'd be like, I'm not like supremely
I would be
shocked.
shocked. I would be shocked if he opened up Dynamite.
I mean, as you text me the other day, and we'll start to move on here because we've spent a while, but stranger things have happened. It's the wrestling business. Sid Vicious stabbed Arn Anderson with a pair of scissors, and I mean they worked in the same company years later, so
Yeah, I guess you
who knows? But I can tell you what we do know. All in started with CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. And let's go ahead and get to our scoops and our slams for the match. If this is your first time listening to our scoop slam format, our scoops are our positives, our slams are our negatives about the match. And this was for the Real World Championship. CM Punk would end up getting the win due to Pepsi Plunge. So I'll go ahead and start us off with my first scoop for the match. You know, we'll go ahead and hit on the Pepsi Plunge. I was going to wait, but I've already kind of mentioned it. I thought that was a neat way to end it. It's different. Typically, obviously, he uses the GTS. The Pepsi Plunge was a throwback to the Ring of Honor show. It kind of shocked me. I wasn't expecting the match to be over with that soon. And I thought that overall, the match here was their best match since both of them have been back. I know you really liked the one they had on TV a couple weeks ago. I thought this was better than that. And this was Punk. This was my favorite Punk match since he's been back the second time. This is probably my favorite match that Joe's had in AEW as well.
You liked it more than that Darby match you had?
Maybe it's two completely different styles, but
This was a bigger stage too, so
yeah, and that, honest to God, that helps everything with this show.
yeah. I like the Pepsi Plunge too, but let's be honest, Triple H did it better.
Oh well, Punk's a little older. He wasn't trying to kill his knees.
I don't see how he didn't kill his knees doing down the indies for that long.
Oh yeah, especially with different rings and different,
Yeah.
You take it one night and it's like, oh, okay, that's not so bad. And the next night, concrete. You want me to go ahead and round out my scoops, or you want to trade back and forth?
I'll just throw out my scoop. I thought JR was painful for those 3 matches he was out there, or was it 4? 3 or 4 matches, I don't know. But he did crack me up on commentary when Excalibur started listing off Nigel McGuinness's accolades, like which had it didn't have anything to do with the actual match. And JR just said out of nowhere, which caught me off guard, "Are you trying to book him? Talk about the competitors in the match." Which cracked me up, man. I don't know. That was one of the only times JR cracked me up tonight.
He was on one like all night long. I don't know if maybe the time zone difference just like pissed him off or something. But later on in the Kenny match, he was like, they're the Golden Lovers and Golden Elite or whatever. And he was like, why is everything golden? That's Coda's like whole thing. He's like the golden. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big like Coda fan, but I just heard him say he's the golden child
Star.
or whatever. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Golden Star.
Look at you. You know your Japanese wrestling.
Well, no, I just know it because from the Cruiserweight Classic, he was a very great competitor in the Cruiserweight Classic. And that was the last time I seen Kota Ibushi.
And that's probably the only time you wanted to see Kota Ibushi.
Well, he had a 5-star match with that blow up doll, Micah. How could you miss that?
Oh, God. Don't remind me. Because Takeshita did that too, but I actually like him. But, I had two other scoops here. Joe catching Punk. Punk was on the apron and he went to do like a Hurricane Rana and he caught him and slung him into the announce table, which in turn would end up busting Punk open. I thought that was a really nice spot. The table was different, so to see it bust through the bottom like that was cool.
Yeah.
And the throwbacks with the 5 moves of doom and, the Hogan ear taunt, and then he hit the leg drop on him and he kicked out, and then Joe hulked up and pointed him down. And
he kicked out at 1 too.
Yeah, the whole thing was great. Honestly, I think that's why I liked this match so much. Obviously, both of these guys are past their athletic prime. I still think they both have a good bit to give, but they're never going to be 2005 Punk and Joe. They're not going to be 2010 Punk and Joe. But for 2023, this was a really good storytelling match. The crowd was going crazy. They hated Punk and they really liked Joe. And it showed. They played off of that and it was great. I will say on the initial watch, I wasn't as high on it as I am now. I just went back and watched it before we started recording. And for some reason, it's one of those matches that you watch it again and it got better.
Yeah, and I will say, going back to that Hogan Cena spot, that got one of the loudest reactions of the night.
Oh yeah,
a night that had skewers and Canadian destroyers and power bombs off a ladder through tables, a simple old leg drop and a no sale kick out that got the biggest pop of the night.
Still works 30 years later, brother.
Yeah.
40.
Yeah. 40, yeah. Oh, easy on the old there, brother.
I'm getting pissed about Brock calling him grandpa is like my favorite Hulk Hogan story.
I didn't realize he was 70. It was good to be 70.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's what Rogan said to him too, but God, he gets so butthurt about being old. Like, just accept it. Flair takes it in stride.
Flair looks like he's 95.
Exactly.
Hogan looks the same from 2005, man. It's crazy.
You know what Flair says? You can't be first, but you can always be next.
Woo.
Anyways, I didn't have any slams for this one, but you did have one, so I'll let you take the floor. But I thought, not my favorite match on the card, but definitely one of.
Yeah, I thought this was a pretty good match. I just didn't like that there was blood in the opening match because you had a feeling that there was gonna be blood in the main event, and if you're bleeding on match number 1, it kind of takes the heat off that. I didn't like that.
Well, nobody got busted open in the main event, though.
Didn't they? Oh, okay. Well, they got busted open in the death match that they had later on, the Stampede match.
Yeah, well, we're getting there. Don't remind me that was on this card.
Yeah, we got a whole paragraph we got to get through.
Moving on, Kenny Omega, Hangman Adam Page, Kota Ibushi, the Golden Elite versus the Bullet Club Gold and Takeshita. I'm not gonna lie, I watched this.
Did you?
I did. Not very intently. It was at this time that all the Punk news was coming out. Their match wasn't even over, and it was already reported that him and Jungle Boy got in a fight. So I was like, what the crap, man? So I was on my phone, and I was talking to you, and, well, the dog needed to go out, and the birds were out in the yard, and they looked interesting. So I peeked through the window and looked at them, and Chips were running low, so I need to go grab some more of those.
Yeah, got to refill those.
Yeah.
Hey man, I saw Kenny was in it, and this had no stakes, so I just fast forward.
I don't blame you.
Who won? Who won?
Takeshita and the Bullet Club Gold picked up a win. Takeshita picked up a really shocking roll-up win. I will say Kota looked like he had shedded some pounds since the last time he was in AEW, so
Yeah, he did like he went to the gym a little bit.
that was
Takeshita got no reaction coming out too.
yeah. You texted me that, but I think the reaction at the end of the match was worse, which was one of my slams. They were hot for Kenny and Hangman, and even Kota to an extent, but the minute they lost, man, there wasn't a boo. It just was, and then it
It's
just
like how
flat.
it's like when Theory beat Cena, like no reaction.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Hey, yeah, but dang, I lost my train of thought. Go ahead, Micah.
oh well, maybe to come back to you. I was just gonna say that obviously this would end up setting up Omega and Takeshita at All Out, and you did predict this. So I guess there was a reason to it, but I don't know. I don't know that it's the way that I would have booked it personally. I will also say Rick Knox was at his absolute worst here because he counted to 5 and then just left them in the ring and didn't do anything about it. But I mean, that's just a given.
There's a lot of bad referee performances on this night.
That's true. However, the main event, which is when it really mattered, I felt like Bryce did a pretty good job for the most part. I know you probably have one gripe because you sent me a video. You sent me a video, and I would have never noticed that in my life.
He sensed it. He sensed the kick out.
Yep.
Didn't even see it.
It's like the Force. It spoke to him. However,
yeah, did they change to? Did they change to Keshta's music or something? I don't know, man. Just kind of weird.
Well, they did when he swapped heel, and I'm not gonna lie, like I haven't been watching Dynamite really close, but I don't know. That theme didn't strike me when he came out either.
Yeah, and then they changed the Bucks theme too.
Oh,
they
God.
went back to that Lane theme that they had for being the Elite. What happened to Kansas? Carry on my wayward son. What happened to that?
Well, I think that's just when they're the full, like just the Bucks and Omega. The Bucks, when they came out, which I mean we'll get to it in just a minute because that match is up next, but they had some other song which was another Queen tribute that they came out to, and it got like no reaction, and then they turned the Super Kick Party song on, and then everybody started going crazy. But yeah, I think Wayward Son is just for the Bucks and Kenny.
Well, going crazy is putting it. I mean, you're being generous there.
Oh, well, I just was using the terminology. I didn't mean that per se.
I don't know about that.
They've lost a lot of goodwill, too. As much as you say Punk has, they're not necessarily as hot as they once were.
Yeah, I agree.
We good to move on?
Sure.
All right. Probably the most anticipated match outside of the main event was for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The aforementioned Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson versus FTR. Kind of long. I want to say it was probably the longest match on the card that I can remember, or at least that I really paid attention to.
Didn't feel like it.
Well,
It kept me entertained.
Yes, it started kind of slow to me, and I want to go back and rewatch it. Maybe I won't feel the same way, but I don't know. I really liked it, and this was a lot of people's favorite match of the night. If MJF and Cole didn't happen. Because I put out a poll on our Twitter, and this one had second most votes behind Cole and MJF for favorite match of the night.
Yeah, I thought this was probably my favorite match.
I'll let you go ahead and start us off with the scoops. So, what you got?
I got a spot scoop where Dax, I wasn't Dax, it was Cash. Cash did like some kind of crazy spear to one of the Bucks to the outside. There was a pretty good spot, and I hit you with a double stack.
Go ahead.
I think this was the first time anybody's kicked out of the Shatter Machine, which added to the drama of the match. Because when everybody kicks out of a finish, if somebody kicks out of another finish, I mean, it's not really surprising. But if nobody has ever kicked out of that finish, when it actually does happen, it means something. Classic wrestling 101. And the fact that they saved it for this match on the biggest stage, I thought it helped the match overall. So a lot of convincing near falls in this match.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I was going to ask you that actually, because obviously you're the historian of the Scoop Slam podcast, and you saw more of their work in WWE. I know in AEW, I didn't think that anybody had kicked out of it, but I didn't know about when they were in WWE.
I can't remember.
But
But a lot of tag finishes, guys don't really kick out of it unless you're going for like a Meltzer driver. The Bucks, nobody, they don't ever win with a Meltzer driver.
yeah, nor do they have any kind of protected finish unless it's Kenny.
Yeah.
But kind of felt like the commentary lowballed that too, because they said it, but they didn't like elaborate on it or anything. They said like, I don't think anybody's ever kicked out of that, and that was it. They just moved right on. I don't know. I felt like maybe they could have, maybe you list some of the great teams they beat with that move that nobody's ever kicked out of.
Did they switch out JR at that point?
I want to say he was here still. I think it was after this match because it was the Stadium Stampede, and I definitely feel like he did not want to be out there for that.
Maybe it was Shivani that was out there. Maybe Shivani was out there.
He might have been. Honestly, can't remember when they swapped throughout the night.
It was a good decision to keep Nigel out there all night, though. I thought he did really well.
Yeah. He's probably... I mean, obviously that Collision crew is really good, but Nigel, if he is the mainstay on pay-per-views and stuff, he's probably my favorite announcer right now.
In the whole business?
Might be, yeah. At least, definitely in AEW, even though I do really like Taz. Whole
I don't like the
business,
Taz. I don't like the Taz like laughs at stuff. Like Excalibur does too. Like Taz will start laughing, like making jokes on comment. I don't like that.
I think Excalibur accentuates that, and that's why I wish that Taz was not on Dynamite. But at the
Yeah,
same
like
time, if it was just Excalibur and Shivani on Dynamite, that would be the worst commentary
terrible.
table in
Terrible.
wrestling.
Oh man, these guys are having a great match. I'm happy to be here, guys. Oh, this is great right here, guys. Oh, these guys are having a great match here, guys. Oh my god, I hate Shivani so much. He adds nothing. He's just there. He's just there.
All he's there for is the yell sting.
And Justin Roberts does it better anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Though you hate the way he says John.
I do. I don't like Justin Roberts.
I said I don't have any gripe with the guy.
I was happy when they let him go in WWE.
See, a lot of people like that girl they have now, and I don't really care for her. What's her name? Though it's Ricochet's. Are they married?
Samantha Irvin. Nah, they're not, but Samantha Irvin.
Yeah, her. It's something about the way she does it. It just sounds fake to me. I don't know how to explain it.
She changes her accent when she's announcing people like Gunther or Ludwig Kaiser or Chelsea Green. She'll change her cadence and how she announces it, which I mean, it makes her different. I can't recall anybody doing that.
Yeah, I guess. It sounds like it's just coming from. and I say that as somebody who is not talking in my normal voice right now because I know I'm recording, and I just do that subconsciously. But it's almost like she tries to make her voice deeper. Does that make sense?
Oh, like she's gargling razor blades. Yeah, that's a lot of announcers nowadays. Though Justin Roberts does it too.
Well, I guess that's
People,
true.
people trying to be Howard Finkel, man, and they'll never be Howard Finkel.
Nope. Nobody will be Mean
No.
Gene either, and that's sad to think about.
Yeah, rest in peace, those guys.
Yeah. Anyways, for the Bucks versus FTR, I got 2 scoops I'll hit you with. I thought the ending was shocking. I, for one, did not expect the Bucks to walk out of All In without those belts. So the fact that they put FTR over on the biggest stage, even though I might not like the guys, I gotta give them props. They did the right thing.
Wow, you giving the Bucks props? Hell froze over tonight here on the Scoop Slam podcast, huh?
Yeah, well, don't count on it to happen twice.
I kind of figured that they were going to win. You remember when the Usos got in trouble for drunk driving? They gave him the tag championships the next week.
Yeah, because I remember clowning you about it. Because you always would say crap about Jeff Hardy, and I was like, "What now? Huh? They put the daggum title on these guys."
Yep.
We're at the Usos are like
Well, the Usos are the
five.
goats. They're goats.
WWE, yeah.
Well, all time. Well, isn't WWE the biggest wrestling company in the world? Wouldn't that make them the best?
They hadn't always been, though.
So you would say LeBron James is just the greatest NBA player of all time? He's not the greatest basketball player of all time?
No, that's different.
How is that different?
Because
National world.
no, we're not getting into this debate. I heard you say that under your breath. Yeah, everybody's hot about that one right now. I think it's stupid. The best players in the world play in the NBA. If you win, you're the world champions. Sorry.
I think it's pretty funny though.
It's funny people get so bent about it because, like, I don't even know. If this would never happen, I wouldn't even know who that guy was.
No, but a lot of NBA players were pissed. Like, there was tweets about it. Like, as soon as it happened, KD responded, Damian Lillard. They were really hot about that. They're really hot.
Well, dude's wrong. If you're an NBA champion or a world champion, sorry. If you play overseas, you're not as good as somebody here.
9 times out of 10, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's what's the guy in the 90s that came over and played and he would have been
Arvydas Sabonis.
Thank you. Yeah. He belonged in the NBA because he was still cooking and he was old and way past his prime at that point. But most of the time, if you were the same age as a prime NBA player and you're not in the NBA, there's a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But anyways, off of that, the last scoop I had for this match, I thought that even though to me it started kind of slow and a couple things fell off or maybe were bobbled at the beginning, by the end of it, it was very good. The people were up crazy. The false finishes were going good. And they had me at that point. I didn't know who was going to win because I thought for sure the Bucks were getting it. But then every time FTR, when they hit that shatter machine, I was like, oh, holy crap, I guess that's it. And they ended up taking the whole thing. So I think, like I said, the Bucks did good. FTR did good. But mainly, props to the Bucks for doing the right thing and putting the right team over for the right guys that deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was still hoping that the Usos would come out and super kick everybody.
Oh, God.
We didn't get that. Yeah, we got a pretty good match, though. I will say that one of my slams, my only slam, is there was kind of a botched kick out spot with Cash. I don't know if you remember it, Micah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so insignificant, but the commentators had to cover for it. But I'm trying to remember what move that one of the Bucks hit on Cash, but I guess Dax was too far out, so he didn't quite make it there in time. So looked like one of the Jackson boys had to grab Cash's arm to like make him kick out. I don't know. It was weird.
It also, I don't know. It may have been one of them things too where Cash like started to push up anyways, but like it looked like Matt pulled his arm up. I don't know. It was kind of
Yeah.
odd, but I think you would have had to have noticed or like been a wrestling fan to notice that. Like honestly, I don't think my wife would have picked that out just
No.
immediately, but obviously we're not saying, oh my god, this match sucked because of that. We're just nitpicking because I got one too, and that did bother me for just a second, especially when the commentary then tried to cover for it. I almost would rather them not say anything. They had a sharpshooter spot on, I think like Cash tried to do one on the apron and Dax had one in the ring. And one of the Bucks was just so close to the ropes that he could have reached and never did. And it was to set up another spot where one of the Bucks could come off the top and I guess do like a face buster on Dax. But I was like, dude, you are so like basically his forearms were tucked in and he was still about to touch the ropes. Like, come on now. He couldn't like tell Dax, hey, scoot me over or something. I don't know.
The one of the Bucks that was on the apron in the sharpshooter, why couldn't he just roll over?
I thought about that too.
Roll off the apron. Roll off the apron, son. What are you doing?
Yeah, because Cash's foot was halfway. It was barely even on the apron, so
yeah.
I don't know, but overall, a really good match. Probably match of the night if the main event didn't happen. From a sheer wrestling standpoint, match of the night.
It was no FTR and
Briscoe.
Hey, who did they fight? Briscoe. Yeah, Briscoe. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. It was no FTR Briscoe, but it was pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I still think those are probably some of the greatest tag team matches of all time. Speaking of nobody's greatest match of all time, the Stadium Stampede was up next. And
oh my.
You had a lot for this.
Hey, you did too, son. Don't just blame it all on me.
Well, you had a little more than me. I'm shocked you had some scoops because I didn't.
Oh, but they weren't scoops like involving the match. It was before the match.
Yeah. This was everything I knew it was going to be, and somehow more. I didn't really care to watch this. I don't like Moxley. I don't like Cassidy. I don't really care for Eddie Kingston. I don't really care for the best friends.
You don't like his mom, Trent's mom?
Well, I'm just saying.
She's okay.
If that van got something,
no. Come on, Mike.
If something happened to the brakes of that van, I wouldn't necessarily be upset.
Jeez.
Also, how'd they fly her van over?
Great question. I guess I didn't think about that.
No, in all seriousness, I'm sure she's a sweet lady. She just don't involve. She just doesn't need to involve in any wrestling program, in my opinion.
So that's why you want to cut her brakes, huh?
Well, if the shoe fits, or if the brake pads don't fit.
Oh.
But regardless, what scoops do you somehow have for this match?
Well, like I said, they weren't involving the match. It was before the match. I did enjoy when the Blackpool Combat Club came out. The camera shot that they had of all the fans like running towards the Blackpool Combat Club, I thought that was a pretty cool shot. Made it seem like they were like big stars. And the mass sea of humanity like running over to them. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I did like how Eddie, he didn't waste any time. He didn't he power walked to the ring and he got got it going. He is one. I know you hate Eddie Kingston, but
I don't hate
everything he
him.
does, you do not like Eddie Kingston.
Okay, well that's fine.
Let's call
I don't hate anybody.
yeah. Well, but call it spade. A spade is Ricky Starks is on your hit list, and Eddie Kingston is number 2. Let's call a spade a spade.
Mm.
I did everything he does makes sense. You know, if you were in Eddie Kingston's position, you would want to get to the ring fast, and you would want to start fighting. You wouldn't want to take in the fans' applause. You would go to the ring and start brawling, and he did that. So I like that all his stuff makes sense. And that was it for the scoop portion of this match right here.
All the entrances, and that was it.
Yeah.
Slams. And let
Mm.
me preface this with I genuinely wish no ill will on any of these people, including Trent's mom.
Uh-oh.
Tis but a joke. However,
Oh my.
the bamboo skewers, are we for real? Like, is this what we're doing on a national pay-per-view stage in front of 80,000 people?
It was gross, man. Torture porn. I didn't like that. I love Dean Ambrose, but it pains me, man, because I don't want to bury Moxley because he was my favorite member of the Shield, but I can't defend this. It was gross, terrible.
Like I said, I wasn't intently watching this one, but
It was nasty, man.
Yeah.
Nasty.
I looked up for this in a good or a bad way, however you feel like taking that. And some people loved it, but this is too far to me, man. And look, I love hardcore wrestling. One of my favorite matches of all time is Mick Foley versus Edge at WrestleMania. So I'm into that stuff, but there's a limit.
They didn't bring out screwdrivers and start stabbing each other in the face with it and poking holes in their face with bamboo skewers. Man, that was amateur, outlaw, indie, and this was the biggest pay-per-view of all time.
Yeah. It didn't fit on this stage, especially to me when you had a great wrestling clinic match like Punk versus Joe. You have a great tag team wrestling match like FTR and the Young Bucks. You even have a good hardcore-ish tag team match later with Darby and Sting versus Swerve and Christian Cage. You have a great storytelling match in the main event, and then you have this, and slapped in the middle of it. It doesn't fit, and it just, as you said, it belongs in front of 500 people who like that kind of thing. And if that's the kind of thing those people like, that's for them. It ain't for me. It's disgusting. I don't care if it takes a chair shot to the head. I'd rather see that. Flaming tables, cool. Barbed wire, cool. To a point. Tables, ladders, chairs, oh my. But the minute you bring out bamboo skewers and glass taped fists, you lost me.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Did happen. And stupid Legos too. Come on, man.
Yeah, that too. That was just.
Are we 8?
There was too much of that, man. I knew when Chuck Taylor and freaking Trent and Orange Cassidy were in this, it's going to be comedy, and then when you add in Moxley, it's going to be garbage deathmatch wrestling that I don't want to see. And
then you got. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. You're good. I always feel like I'm interrupting you, and I don't mean to. I can even understand like a light tube, 1 or 2. Like I know that might be too far for some people. I can get behind that, but this is just nasty.
Don't those light tubes have mercury in them, which is very hazardous?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But when you got the 3 goobers on commentary laughing at everything, how am I supposed to take it serious, man? Like, oh, John Moxley's using the screwdriver. Like, come on. Oh, God, come on. Are we laughing at that? He has a blunt instrument. He's stabbing somebody in the head. Don't laugh at that.
And I hate that spot, too, because, like, You can kill somebody stabbing them in the head with a screwdriver. It's just
So why laugh
ridiculous.
at it?
Yeah, well, that's a very good point. And that also always hurts crap like this when they do it on Dynamite because that's how Tony and Taz and Excalibur do. And I do like Taz. We already talked about this earlier, but as you said, when you sit there and laugh at it, why am I supposed to take it serious? If you're not conveying to me that this is a serious moment and somebody's life is in danger, then you've taken me out of it and it's all just a TV show and it's work and it's phony.
Yeah, I mean, Micah, you said your favorite hardcore match was Edge versus Mick Foley at WrestleMania 22, right?
I don't know if that's my favorite hardcore match, but that is just one of my favorite matches of all time, regardless.
Oh, okay. So what if Joey Styles and JR? I don't think JR was on commentary. What if Joey Styles started laughing when Mick Foley brought out the barbed wire bat and grinded Edge's face on the bat? What if he started laughing? You wouldn't take that spot as serious, right?
No,
That would never happen.
Joey Styles was great because you could hear a genuine sense of, I can't do the impersonation, but the fear. There was fear in him.
Yeah, he was worried about these competitors' safety. He's not laughing at everything they do. Like, come on, man. I know you like Taz. I like Taz too, but when he's around these jabronis, these goobers, he's unbearable too.
Yeah. And you want me to go ahead and wrap up my slams, or?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. The other two, that was my main one. Oh, also he kicked out at 1 after that. Like Penta hit I think a signature move, and Moxley kicked out at 1. Are you kidding me?
Yep. Yeah.
I can't deal with it, man. People love him way too much. I can't. Anyways, Claudio, who is widely renowned as one of the strongest people that like wrestlers have been in the ring with.
Yeah.
Him getting beat up by Orange Cassidy is appalling. The way that they treat him like Roman Reigns pisses me off to no end. He never loses ever. Ever. I'm hanging out like Anderson. And it's ridiculous. I weigh more than him. Come on.
You're taller than him.
Probably, and I'm not a very tall man. So I didn't care for that. And lastly, so many times in this, there was too much going on. They were cut away from pins. They were cutting away from big spots. This did not belong on this card. I wish it was on All Out. I wouldn't have watched it then, but it just weighs down this card to me because we're sitting here and we're spending 20 to 25 minutes talking about this garbage, and everything else on the show I liked for the most part. This was just ridiculous in the middle of this. So my closing thoughts.
Hard to follow.
Yeah, that too, because there's like 20 freaking people at once. And there's stuff in the ring, and there's stuff on the east corridor of Wembley Stadium, and there's stuff at the dang castle, and there's stuff at Queen Elizabeth's grave. Like, it's just ridiculous. This sucked. So, that's my closing thought. It didn't belong.
Yeah. I thought there were some bad botches, too, in this match. I don't remember when it happened, but somehow Penta got taken out the match. He had enough time to go change while his friends were getting stabbed with forks in the match.
Yeah.
He somehow had enough time to change and to get the sound guy to play his entrance music. And he got some more face paint reapplied. And he came out with I think another ladder or a table. I don't remember how the tables got set up. Well, regardless, he went up to the top of the ladder. I don't know who he had with him.
Ortiz.
But I do remember the ladder.
No.
Ortiz?
It was Santana.
I remember the ladder snapped in half, which is why were they using a wooden ladder anyway?
Yeah, I don't. That was odd to me. I thought maybe maybe something in the UK they're made different, or maybe like a flight restriction. They couldn't bring a metal
I
ladder.
guess
I don't know.
maybe it wouldn't have snapped in half if Jose the assistant wasn't hanging on to it. But
Hmm.
I digress. And you always got to hang on to the ladder if there's a ladder spot in AEW. And then Ortiz slipped on the top turnbuckle trying to do a superplex to the outside. Yeah. I guess it wasn't detrimental to the match, which the match was already detrimental when it started. And then the minivan spot, of course, I wish no ill will on Trent's mom, but it didn't belong in the match. Added more comedy to the match that was supposed to be serious, I think. And Orange Cassidy should be dead because Dean Ambrose had a running start and stabbed him with a blunt instrument, and he still kicked out. Not surprised, but I didn't like seeing that. And like you said, Mike, it was a lot to follow, a lot of garbage that didn't belong on the card. And yeah, I was very surprised that the Blackpool Combat Club lost because they did lose their last big match, but Orange Cassidy is Roman Reigns over there, so you gotta get his win, brother.
Yeah, and I think that you hit on something that I missed. That like just the contrast of styles. If you like comedy wrestling, then okay, Chuck Taylor and Trent might be for you. But when we have a guy getting stabbed in the head with a fork and not even 10 minutes later, like, oh, here's my sweet mother with baked treats. Like, dude,
Of
this.
course, of course, those guys on commentary laughed when they saw the minivan.
Oh yeah, of course, because it's all just a joke to them because they know it's a performance, and it's just it's a contrast of styles. Like some people like the daggum baby oil Nakazawa thing, and if that's for you, cool. But it just doesn't make sense. Like I would have been embarrassed if my friends were over watching that.
What, Nakazawa putting baby oil on? Yeah, I
Oh,
probably would have been embarrassed.
well, absolutely of that. I mean, just this match, all in all, it's like why.
Yeah,
Why do we
yeah.
have somebody's mom out here? Wouldn't they be concerned about their son that he's gushing blood from his forehead?
And why are there Legos on the ground? And why are these guys laughing at everything they're doing? And why did this guy just get stabbed with a fork with a running start and he's back up?
Yeah.
These are questions that didn't really get answered.
And they're not because it was dope.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, moving on from that debacle. I don't even think that's a harsh enough term. For the AEW Women's Championship, Hikaru Shida versus Britt Baker versus Tony Storm versus Saraya. Now, I
Hmm.
thought this was actually a lot better than I was expecting.
Didn't they give Soraya some actual music?
Yes, they gave her.
We Will Rock You.
Yes, I knew. I was about to say something by Queen, but I couldn't
but
remember
but
what.
but again, they changed somebody's music and the crowd didn't know how to react because they didn't know the music.
Yeah,
Well, of course, everybody knows We Will Rock You, but they didn't know who that was coming out to that. So it kind of ruined her pop.
yeah, and I mean her family too. I felt I don't know might have drawn away from that.
I
Some
didn't know
people
who they were.
really don't like Soraya. What'd you say?
I didn't know who those people were that accompanied her. I knew it was her family, but I never heard of any of those people.
I never have before other than a brother that's been on AEW, but most of the AEW fans are pretty online, and I'm sure most of those UK people know them. But
They said they're wrestling royalty in England, but I never heard those guys.
well, they've got kind of a troubled past, I guess, especially when the whole speaking out thing came out. So I thought that might
Yeah.
have also hurt her pop. I don't know.
Oh man. I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Mhm.
She had a movie. Did you ever watch that movie with The Rock?
I did not, but I kind of want to just because, I mean, I feel like everybody's seen it and I'm kind of one of the odd ones out.
No, I haven't seen it either.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. We'll review it on the pod. No, I'm just playing.
Oh yeah, watch along.
Yeah. Um. So, anyways, Soraya would end up picking up the win, which I don't know if I predicted that because it was a
You did.
week. Okay.
You did.
So, you know, I expected it. It was in her hometown. Tony's already had the belt. Britt's already had the belt. Sheeta's already had the belt. The only one who hadn't was Soraya. And I felt like Tony losing it to Sheeta was a good way to bridge to Soraya getting it without beating Tony, even though they kind of did that storyline anyways. So why couldn't Tony just come in as champion? Because then it would have set this up. But I guess it did lead to my first scoop, which I was going to say. We haven't really touched on it, but I've enjoyed Tony Storm's change of character recently. It actually feels like a gimmick, which is kind of a rarity in the women's division, especially in AEW. And she, to me, has been killing it with the promos and stuff, which is also a rarity with the women in AEW. So, I think she deserves some praise for that.
Yeah, that's why I picked her to win the match. I thought they had something with this new gimmick she got, which I didn't watch the match, Micah, so I don't know how she performed in there, but I was very surprised to see that Paige won. Oh, and did you see that Sasha Banks was shown on the broadcast?
Yeah, I didn't even think to mention
Didn't even
that.
cover that.
So much else
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah.
So, reportedly, and we've already touched on how credible the reporting is in this industry, she is gonna be coming in soon. Apparently, she was gonna come in around Forbidden Door, but due to
Yeah.
her getting hurt, she wasn't able to. Um, Obviously a huge pickup for them if they can land her. She's one of the bigger stars in the women's division, and people pay attention to her. So
Yes, but the way I don't think Tony Khan cares about women's wrestling. So I really don't think it's gonna be that much of a big pickup, Mike. Like, look at this card, man. How many matches we had? Pre-show included. 11 matches, 12 matches.
something like
How
that.
many were with how many were women's matches? You had one.
Well, you
You
know,
had you had yeah, you had one match with a thrown together storyline. Which pretty much all these matches were kind of thrown together last minute, but still, this felt like way more of a thrown together. Let's get who we can on the card and go out there in a four-way match. This I really don't think the needle is going to move if they sign Sasha Banks, if they sign Trish Stratus, they sign Lita. Tony Khan does not care about women's wrestling, and that's just the fact. That's just a fact. I mean, watch the shows, you can see, which I can't blame them. Women's wrestling doesn't draw, but I just Sasha Banks isn't going to move the needle for AEW's women's division.
I think it helps. I'm not trying to stand up here and be some kind of like jerk, but it doesn't draw for me, and I'm not a huge like proponent of it. Obviously, I think they deserve their time, and if they're good, like Tony,
Well, no,
then I will
yeah,
watch.
nobody deserves anything.
Well, I guess that's true. You got to earn it.
Yeah,
But
earn it.
so I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, we really need more women's wrestling, Tony. But when you go into a press conference and people ask you about it, and he basically said, I didn't think there needed to be any more. That kind of tells you where his mind is at about it. And people have been putting him under the fire for it recently, so
I think it's just I don't know. Maybe it's the online minority that gets really loud about women's wrestling. Because if it drew, there would be more women's matches on the show. Tony is a big numbers nerd. He knows what the ratings look like on a quarter hour basis, on a segment basis, and The fact of the matter is the women's segments doesn't draw.
Yep.
And
So
the way it's going right now, Micah, do you see a women's match main eventing a AEW pay-per-view anytime soon?
no, if they did, it would have to be Sasha Banks. Like honestly, I think the biggest match they could make would probably be Toni Storm versus Sasha. It would have to be, or Mercedes. I'm sorry. The only three that I could think of would be Jade versus Mercedes, Tony versus Mercedes, or Britt versus Mercedes.
You
Even
think that would
then,
be go ahead.
I was gonna say, even then, I could not consciously say yes, that will main event over MJF, CM Punk, Kenny Omega. Like that, it's just not real.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. I agree.
And again, I don't know. It's such a touchy situation because if you say anything negative about women's wrestling, you're a misogynist, and that's not what I'm trying to be. I'm just being honest. It doesn't draw to me. If you were really
Yeah.
good, like Serena Deeb, every time that we have talked about Serena Deeb, I really like her. She is a legit good wrestler to me. But I'm not gonna sit here and prop up women like you know a match like Anna Jay versus I don't know, pick your favorite. Sky Blue. Like to me, I'm not watching that. I'm sorry.
And majority of them don't need to be on television.
That
Like
too.
you look at Britt Baker, she's embarrassing in the ring. I'm tired of people pretending like she's good. Yeah, she had her time in the sun. She was a okay promo for a little while, but then people started to see through it. She's terrible in the ring. Anna Jay's terrible in the ring. Sky Blue is not good in the ring. These women are not good in the ring. Most of them don't belong on national TV. They belong in the performance center for years before they're ready for TV.
And I will say this. Sky Blue, Anna Jay, what I have seen of them, there is 100% been improvement from the first time I saw them. So that is a good thing. It's just honestly, there is an upper echelon of like 8 women that are really top-notch stars, and then there's the rest of them.
And
And
then the
that's
rest look like they're walking through quicksand when they wrestle.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if that hurts some feelings, but that's just the truth. But anyways, I'm gonna close up this match. I did actually enjoy this match because obviously the atmosphere makes everything better. Um, to me, this did everything it needed. There wasn't any huge botches or too many contrived spots, which is my main complaint with women's wrestling, is they try to do too much and then it becomes much. They did some back and forth with Tony and Soraya, so it's looking like that split is coming soon. That I thought they did well, and it didn't hang around for too long. The only slam that I had was Soraya winning the belt.
You predicted it. You got a slam for that?
Yes, because I have seen so much hate for her online since she won it. Like, people just do not like her as a person. I think part of that is because of the guy she's with. I don't know much about him, but he seems like a pretty controversial figure. But again, that might just
and
be minority online.
and the Lufisto stuff, right?
Yeah, I think that hurt her image. And just the way she came in, too, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So, I don't know. I didn't necessarily slam it because she won. It was more like I don't know if I would have done it, but I wrote, "Woo boy, Soraya winning is definitely a choice." That's like all I can sum it up as.
Said it well.
Though this next match picked up the pace, and honestly, I might shock you because I don't think you enjoyed this as much as I did. Could be a contender for one of my favorite matches of the night. Swerve
Wow.
and Christian versus Darby Allin and Sting. I told
Mm.
my wife this while we were watching. I think Darby is probably top 5 one of my favorite people right now.
Talk about all around or just in ring?
Just all around. I buy into
Wow.
his character. All of his in-ring stuff is good. I know I put him over big on this past show when we were talking about Collision, but I don't know. He just shows a lot of improvement. Everything that he does to me, it never seems like overly fake, I guess. And he takes a beating every time he's in there. So I have nothing but praise for the guy, and I think he's getting better. And I don't know if I said this on the past episode, but I genuinely can see him being an AEW World Champion at some point, even at his size.
Well, hold up now there, buddy. You can't see Chad Gable being world champion because of his size, but Darby you're okay with?
It's different
How?
because,
Chad Gable is actually legit too. He's jacked. Darby looks like a twink. Come on now.
but Darby has that weird Jeff Hardy charisma that like you can get behind.
Oh man.
No,
Here we
I'm
go.
serious. I could buy it.
Oh man. Well, at least he's straight edge.
And low blow. That went by me for a second, but I caught that. For the scoops, I'll let you start us off. See, you got a couple here, and I got probably more than you.
Yeah. I'll let you have that one that we share. But when Sting set up the table on the outside and he leaned Swerve over the table and he tried to do a dive on it and it didn't break. Excalibur had like a little inside baseball line where he said, "Oh, Sting is the table." You know, if you know, you know. Shout out Botchamania. And I thought it was a good finish. However, Micah, it's kind of hard to take Swerve serious when he never wins anything on pay-per-view or like any matches. I can't remember him winning any matches.
I mean, I guess that's true. I would have still booked this the same way, but I think that Swerve does need to be booked better. I'm high on Swerve. I think I'm higher than you are, but
Definitely.
Gun to my head, I couldn't tell you a match that he's won, especially on pay-per-view. At least without Keith Lee.
Yeah. It seems like he's just going to be in that mid-card role where he puts other guys over. I can't see him being a main event guy, especially the way they treat him. Also, Luchasaurus and Brian Cage, didn't they make appearances in this match? Where'd they go?
That's a good point. I don't remember them being out there.
Remember Luchasaurus was out there because the Nick Wayne jabroni ran out there.
Mm-hmm.
The young boy, which he was in his gear. Why was he in his gear?
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, they didn't have a shirt on, bro. Just wearing his gear. I don't know.
Nor was he booked to be on the card at all.
And then he got beat up and he disappeared.
But yeah, I don't remember Cage coming out.
He may have not, but isn't he aligned with Swerve?
Yeah.
So Prince Nana came out with him, but that was it?
No, I think it was the two
rapping jabronis.
Yeah, if that's how you want to say that.
I don't know their names.
The one guy's name is right at the beginning of the song, but I cannot think of it.
Yeah. Seemed like the acoustics was off with that performance. But I know you liked the performance. That was my only 2 scoops of the match.
Personally, big scoop, huge scoop even for the entrances. I like Swerve's entrance. Now you brought up a good point that perhaps the UK was not the place to have Swerve do this big elaborate rap entrance, but I guess that's neither here nor there. I enjoyed it.
I thought the acoustics were a little off. Like there was a tape playing in the background and he was singing it or rapping it at the same time, and it kind of felt like it was a little delayed. I don't know.
Well, that's how rappers do. They don't There's always a backtrack.
Yeah, you got a point. I just didn't like it. Didn't like that.
And
Jericho's performance was pretty good.
yeah, that's true.
Didn't sound like it was a track playing.
Well, I don't think there was one for him.
He didn't have a track, but Swerve's guy had to have a track.
Yeah. That's just how rappers do their concerts. Like I don't think they ever don't have a track behind them because obviously there's no instruments, so the instrumentals are gonna be playing. But like if you listen to I don't know like a Lil Uzi concert or whatever, like at Rolling Loud, half the time they're like dancing or hyping the crowd up anyways. So there's always a track behind them singing.
Maybe I never noticed.
Well, anyways, the Metallica entrance for Sting, the WCW throwback, that was great entrance from both of them, especially when all the lights cut out and everybody's phone was going. The presentation just looked amazing. So that was a huge scoop. I love both of those entrances.
I didn't know the song.
You don't remember it from his WCW run?
No,
It was
brother.
brief.
I watched. Well, how? No, because I watched on WWE Network or I watched on DVDs where they dubbed over all his music.
Dang.
Yeah, just
Well,
like Sandman. When Sandman had that Enter Sandman music, I didn't know that that's what he came out to. I thought it was just that generic music that WWE had for him.
so let me guess, you didn't know Tommy Dreamer came out to Man in a Box either?
I had no idea. No.
Come on now. Can't take you anywhere.
Yeah.
Anyways, for those of you who liked the entrance and knew what the song was from, it was good. And I really like the entrances for both of these. I will say that about Tony. He will shell out some money for real music, and I appreciate that because WWE's monotonous drum beat songs with no lyrics drives me insane.
Well, hold up now. They had Lil Uzi Vert. They had him for the Usos entrance. Come on now.
Yeah,
Be
but
fair.
I'm talking about their theme songs, like none of their theme songs have lyrics, and it sucks pond water.
Well, Edge came out to what song did he come out? Did he come out to a Metallica song? WrestleMania? They do. They give people actual songs for being in. Oh, Pat McAfee last year. They gave him the White Stripes. Come on now. Let's be fair now.
Did they actually? I thought they gave him
They did.
fake.
No, no. That was the year after. But his first WrestleMania that he went to, 30, was that 38? Yeah, he had the actual White Stripes, the music.
Interesting.
And he had
I'm shocked.
Yeah. And he had the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders with him. You don't remember that?
I don't think I was in at that point.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no, 38. I was. Oh, so I don't think I was like fully invested at that point. I probably would have like skipped over it.
That's when he beat Theory, and then Vince restarted the match with him versus Pat McAfee, and then he beat Pat McAfee, and then Steve Austin came out and gave Vince the worst stunner of all time.
Yeah, I just saw the clips of that. I don't think I actually watched the entrance.
Well, regardless, you love those entrances. And we're thinking Darby had their special little entrance. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah. As far as the other scoops, I thought the cricket bat instead of the baseball bat was just a nice touch, kind of funny, since they were in the UK. And lastly, this just had great spots. It didn't do like too much. It didn't try to be too much, like the Stadium Stampede, in my opinion. I don't know, like just some of the spots were so nasty. The Scorpion Death Drop onto the casket, what does Darby call it? The coffin drop onto the casket. It just, it was brutal and it was everything it needed to be. They didn't, but nobody had to die. Nobody had to get stabbed to be put in the coffin.
I'm about to say, I mean, they had a casket there just in case somebody did die.
Well, expedited shipping even. Overall, though, I honestly don't think I saw enough people hyping this one up online. It was one of my favorites of the night, and if I'm an outlier for that, then so be it.
And it didn't overstay its welcome either. It wasn't too long.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And I will say that about this show because a lot of times AEW has that issue. Most of these matches were well timed.
Yeah, did it go 4 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he could have cut a couple matches off this card.
I mean maybe, but it was a big show. But you had one slam.
Yeah, let's talk Darby. I don't know if they had the mics turned up in the ring this night, but I did hear a lot of spot calling in a lot of matches, and Darby's stood out to me more than others. Got a little loud there with the spot calling, brother. You know, tone it down a little bit. Sounded like Cena up in there.
Daggum it, you stole my joke. I was about to say, well, he's no Cena. Speaking of, he's coming back in a couple weeks. That's gonna be interesting. Yeah. See whose nuts he cuts off this time.
Oh man, LA Knight, brother.
Oh, you better look out. You better call in sick or beg that Miz storyline to keep continuing.
Well, Miz cutting off his nuts every week now.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that's different. Cena.
Yeah.
Cena would daggum take him and be like, oh yeah, well, what about Eli Drake, huh? While you were doing that, like he would just.
He would do that, yeah.
You say you're out here saying yeah all the time. Well, you've been saying that catchphrase since 2013, and it didn't get over anywhere else, and it ain't over here. And then what is LA Knight supposed to say, huh?
Oh man, yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
What do I say?
Well, I guess what else can we say about that one? Next up was Chris Jericho versus Will Ospreay, and as you mentioned earlier, Jericho played himself out to the ring, which
played himself.
Huh?
He played with himself. He played with himself.
Whoa! I didn't sound
in front of 80,000 people, Micah.
Oh God! Nah, that's what the Acclaimed we're gonna do to Julia in a minute. We'll get there.
Oh Lord! Oh man!
I saw your comment, and I think we have different opinions on that. I just read that. Anyways, you know, as much as I've drugged Jericho in the past for being perhaps self-centered or trying to get himself over. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
The Wizard. He is a big star, and I actually kind of liked this entrance, believe it or not. It's like, you know, in front of 80,000 people, Jericho ain't half bad. And
yeah,
I don't know, maybe I got a little nostalgia for the guy again, and then Ospreay came out.
You. Oh man.
What can I say?
He forced 80,000 people to go to a Fozzy concert. He got what he wanted, Micah.
Oh yeah.
He got what he wanted.
You know he's gonna be pulling a Hogan on that one for like 30 years now. Next he's gonna say that he got like he almost got Paul McCartney to help him play.
Oh come on. Yeah, I can see him not even caring about winning or losing. He just wants to play. He wants to play out there in front of 80,000 people.
Probably. It's coming up on Talk is Jericho. I bet you money.
Yeah.
The other stuff I had, I really liked Ospreay's presentation. I thought they did a good job to make him feel like a big star. Obviously, it was his home country, so him picking up the win makes sense. And as he said, I didn't even know this until he said it. His contract is up in 6 months, and you know, that big show there, and the pyro and the presentation that they gave him, it'd be hard to be like, I don't think I want to go there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Yeah, I agree. But he's still in MJF's gimmick by announcing when his contract's up.
I guess he's gonna have a lot of money to shell out in 2024. I'll tell Tony that now.
Well, Tony be bidding against himself if he think WWE gonna give him a multi-million-dollar deal.
Yeah, he better lock down MJF before he locks down Osprey.
And that's who we got our eyes on. I say
Yeah.
we like I'm in the boardroom or something, but
Hey,
I think they're
me and you both
I
have
think
like
they're
$20 to our name. I don't think we're bidding on anybody.
oh, hold up there, brother. I just got paid today.
Hmm.
Cookouts on me tonight, Micah.
Oh dang! The last scoop I had, honestly, I think you were a little more critical on this match than I was. The
Mm.
atmosphere adds, but I thought this was Jericho's best match since Quake at the Lake with Moxley. Osprey, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of a spectacle to see Osprey move Jericho's body like that.
Yeah,
Like with his finishing move, I don't really know what it's called.
Stormbreaker.
Yeah, but like most of that's coming from Osprey, and I think that saying they always said about Shawn that he could wrestle a broomstick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's pretty evident with Osprey too, and because he was moving Jericho around, especially at the end,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's still, for the most part, everything still looked pretty solid. So definitely huge props to Osprey for getting this match out of Jericho. Um, Not that like none
I
of
will
it was
say,
on Jericho either, but
yeah, because it takes two to tango. But I will say this, Micah, and I'll let you finish. Osprey has. I haven't watched many of his matches since when I last saw him. I think last time I seen him outright was against Ricochet when they had their little flippy doodah match. He's bulked up a lot, and he has changed his in-ring style a lot. And I didn't hate this match at all, man. I thought it was okay. I thought it was one of Jericho's best match, like you said. I'm just in awe of how he's changed his style up so much in the last 7, 8 years since I've seen him.
see, I didn't really know who he was until, like whenever they did the first Forbidden Door. But, you know, it's hard to judge because I don't see him all the time. But I will say, probably one of the best in ring workers right now. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
just watching some of that crap was like, I don't know, like you don't really see many people innovative these days. It's almost like everything has been done. But he was just, I mean, he was kicking Jericho's tail and he was moving him everywhere he needed to move him. And I was like, my God, Osprey's just killing him. But at the same time, everything looked so seamless that I honestly was kind of blown away with Osprey's performance.
Yeah, he definitely impressed me. I'm still jury's still out on him. When it comes to me, I don't know if he can ask for a multi-million-dollar contract from
Oh
WWE,
yeah.
but he definitely had a one of the greatest of all time in Chris Jericho. He had his best last couple months, maybe last couple years, depending on who you talk to. And that's worth bragging about. And he got a win over first ballot Hall of Famer. Some people have him on their Mount Rushmore, and certainly not me. But getting a big win over Chris Jericho when he's not contracted by the company, that's a big deal. They see something in him, and we'll see what he does when his contract's up. But it was a good match overall. I enjoyed it.
And I think lastly, he's not going to win my Wrestler of the Year unless he makes a mad dash at the end of the year just because we don't really watch New Japan. But he has beaten Kenny this year. He's beaten Jericho this year,
Yeah.
and he's beaten Okada this year. So that's a dang stellar lineup in terms of like megastar wrestling world.
Yeah, he's had a heck of a year. When like you said, we don't watch a lot of New Japan stuff, but he might be on a lot of people's list for wrestler of the year.
And I think if AEW is able to get him, he'll be a good signing. His promos definitely seem to have improved, and he proved that to me in the ring with Jericho this past week. As for the slams, I didn't really have any.
Bro,
But you got one.
Yeah, I just thought Jericho was gassed. He almost broke his neck trying to do a cutter on Will. It was scary.
Yeah.
Jericho landed right on his head.
Commentary tried to make up for it by saying that they like bashed heads, but I don't think that was all.
And then he didn't even like hook on the cutter, but Will still sold it. So he tried, I guess.
Well, when you're trying to wrestle the broomstick, not everything's gonna look perfect, I guess. Big broomstick though. I'm sorry, it had to be said.
Oh, come on. Taking shots.
Co-main, House of Black versus the Acclaimed.
No, come on. What? No.
What?
That's what it was billed as.
Well, or the cool down match, however you want to look at it. I honestly did not expect you to watch this one.
I watched the first 3 minutes and then I tapped out after what I saw.
Oh, come on. Anyways, on a serious note, really cool for them to come out with the lantern. Good tribute, especially in a crowd that big. They really liked that, and they all had, their lights out. The fireflies were out, and that was a cool spot.
And did you notice the House of Black was wearing all white? Yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yes, they were.
Paying homage to somebody who did a darker gimmick way better than them.
Most definitely.
But yeah, I thought the lantern was cool. I honestly didn't even notice it to begin with, but then people on Twitter started sharing it. It was just
No, Micah, did you see Billy Gunn kick the lantern?
Oh no, he didn't.
He did. He kicked it.
Oh my god.
I guess he didn't see it. He didn't see it on the ground, but he kicked it.
Was that by the ring or like in the entrance ramp right there?
It was on the entrance ramp. Yeah, he kicked it.
What if he would have like punted it in the crowd like completely on purpose?
Oh my god. Jesus. That's heat, brother.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants that kind of heat. I think that's go away heat, sadly. Speaking of though, I think you want him to go away after this.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say I wanted him to go away.
All right, I'll let you go ahead because you had a different opinion than me about this that I didn't even know about. I thought you would have been in the same boat.
No. So, Billy Gunn was attempting to go for a dive to the outside, I think. And then when he hit the ropes, he was welcomed by Julia Hart, which she wagged her finger side to side and said, we ain't doing that today.
He said, nay.
She gets in the ring. Come on, man. Was Aubrey in this match?
I don't think she was.
I'm sure she was. I think she was. Yes, she was.
Are you sure? I know she was in the Jericho match. I don't think she did. I don't think she did.
I think she did. I think she did because I remember watching the clip back and she had to get involved somehow. So she got in the camera frame while all this was going down. But anyways,
real quick.
Anyways, Julia Hart gets in the ring. Billy Gunn looks at her and he proceeds to give her a crotch chop and tell her to suck that. You finished that, Micah? Or yeah, he said it too. He didn't bleep anything out. He put a little stank on it too because he did that crotch chop a little aggressive,
hefty.
But then he he decided to grab young Julia Hart and forcibly open her legs for a leg drop spot where they call it, Micah, the scissor me timbers. I don't know what they call it, but who okayed that, man? two grown men forcibly opened the young woman's legs, and she did not look like she wanted to be there, and the crowd cheered for it. I just want to know who okayed that, man. And she didn't try to like punch them or anything. She just kind of let it happen too.
What can I say? I gotta choose my words carefully in this situation.
Oh, go ahead. There it
I
is.
thought it was
You would like that.
funny.
No, I thought it was.
I don't know. I mean, like, it's kind of Billy's gimmick from years past, and I don't know. I guess maybe it's kind of in poor taste in 2023, but I don't know. I found
Yeah.
it to be kind of funny.
Maybe if it was in Memphis in 1985, probably would have been a little more socially acceptable to assault women and hold their legs open for a leg drop. But here in 2023, Micah, I don't know if that was in the best of taste.
Well, see, I kind of liked that they. Hold on, this is gonna sound horrible.
Oh, well. You gonna clip this out?
I kind of liked the fact that they retaliated against Julia, because you see a lot of times on Raw that like Rhea can do all this, but they can never do anything back to her. So I thought it was a funny spot where they contrasted that, you're not gonna shove me around.
Well, hold up now. Julia Hart didn't do anything. Just kind of stood on the apron.
Well,
She didn't deserve to get beat up.
what?
You just want them to go around beating up women, Micah?
No, I'm just saying. There's a scale. There's a scale.
Okay.
If you mess around enough, you'll find out.
Jack Perry is
Yep, he learned that
he
night.
is evidence of that. He's evidence of that, huh?
And Julia, see all these young talents they have. They've got to mess around in order to find out.
Was Aubrey in the match?
She was. I did look it up.
Of course. Of course.
You said of horse. You
no,
good piece of garbage.
Come on. Well, the shoe fits.
The hoof. The horseshoe. The horseshoe.
The horse.
Oh God, I joke, I kid. We jest.
Yeah, we just shout out Aubrey. Hopefully she doesn't get our Twitter taken down.
I don't think you meant that. Anyways, not a crazy match. Were you shocked at the Acclaimed one? I saw a lot of people online did not love that.
Yeah, and I was very surprised that they just kind of turned babyface too at the end, which kind of kills the House of Black gimmick. But whatever. I don't really care about Malachi anymore. Buddy is a good wrestler, but he doesn't do anything for me promo wise. Brody King's a big dude, but he looked small in there with Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn somehow towered over Brody King. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I was like, I guess I forget how
big
big
is
Billy
Billy Gunn?
is.
Yeah, he didn't look that big in Attitude Era. I don't know what. Did he grow? Like, did he get taller?
I think he packed 3 lunches for the UK show.
Like Adam Cole was packing his lunch later too. He was hitting the gym.
He looked.
Maybe they did hit the gym together.
He needs to. Billy Gunn looked. I don't know. To me, he looked even bigger than he did like 3 weeks ago. He looks sauced. And hey, I don't mean that in a negative way at all, because like, if he's doing it healthily, then that's him. But Joker is yoked, son.
Yeah, he on a lot of gas.
Lastly, we've arrived at the main event. AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Adam Cole versus MJF. And
better than you, baby.
Honestly did not know how this one was going to go. I didn't know where they were going with it. And that was part of the mystique. That's what made it great to me. I didn't know what was going to happen. And that's a rarity in wrestling these days.
You like MJF's entrance?
I thought it was nice. it made him feel big. It felt Triple H-esque.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah.
Like that one. I know he had the Terminator one, but I feel like it was the WrestleMania like before that, where he kind of had that gold mask or whatever.
Yeah, WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
He had Sasha Banks and Charlotte as the ladies in his entrance.
Really? I didn't know that was them.
Yeah. And Alexa Bliss was there too. She was the third girl.
You ever look at like the security guards or anything of like what's happening now? Do you ever try to look at them and pick out like, yeah, I could see that guy being big in a couple of years? Because typically that's how that crap happens.
Yeah, they had I think they had Simon Miller from What Culture
Yeah, they did.
as a security guard on Friday. Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Shout out What Culture. I don't know. I can't speak for them today, but I know I used to like them back in the day. Some people drag them now for like clickbait, but who doesn't do that?
Yeah, we still rock the Simon though.
Yeah, he seems like a cool guy.
Yeah.
The match though, you were very high on this, and I was kind of shocked because typically you're not a big Cole fan. First, let me get out of the way. There was a scoop slam. Hold your applause.
Oh. Whoa.
I think MJF was the one that did it. Yeah, I don't think Adam Cole could scoop slam MJF.
Oh, come on. He's in good shape.
He had a tan. That was mainly why. The chair spot was done well to me. It was a different take. They had done a referee bump. And they were going back and forth with the chair like Eddie used to. So obviously, homage to Eddie. Cole falls and passes the chair to MJF. The referee is not done getting up yet, selling the slight shoulder contact like he got shot with a missile. And so MJF opens the chair up on his head and lays down. So then when the ref turns around and sees it, MJF looks less, what's the word? Like he committed...
Suspicious.
Yeah, there we go. So, it's a different take on it. That spot's been done a bunch of times, but I enjoyed that.
Yeah, very innovative.
And honestly, all in all, this match was not the greatest wrestling match in the world. It was a good wrestling match, but it was more the storytelling that got it through.
Yeah.
Bloodline-esque, I will say. The double clothesline finish really shocked me. I wasn't expecting that, and then once it happened, you kind of knew that they weren't going to end the show like that, but
MJF booking matches now. He told them he's not leaving until they get a effing winner in Wembley. He's booking the matches, huh, Micah?
Well, I mean,
he gets the restart matches. He's the commissioner now.
It's a big main event. I think they can. I'll give them a pass on this one.
Okay, all right.
And lastly, just a big overall recap as a slam to me. Really good match. Lots of angles, which to me is kind of funny because both companies don't have just wrestling main events anymore. They kind of have these big angle matches, and I'm down for both because, obviously this is the best storyline in AEW right now. The best storyline in WWE is the Bloodline. So, hey, if it's working, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
They had a better Bloodline-esque type match more than Roman and Jay did at SummerSlam. And maybe that has something to do with Roman getting hurt like very early on in the match, but they still, I don't know, they told a better story overall, and like you said, it was Bloodline-esque with the way they did it. A lot of talking in the match. The mic could pick up on what MJF was saying, and a lot of facial expressions that told a part of the story. I really enjoyed this match. Cole looked like he actually did. He start hitting the gym with MJF. He had a tan. He looked like NXT Cole.
The shirt helps.
He took it off. He looked like he was in okay shape. He didn't look sickly like he did for the last couple months in AEW. And if he is sick, I'm sorry, but he definitely looked a lot better here.
Yeah. It's amazing how far a tan will take you. Just looking at pasty white, especially next to a guy like MJF, it's very off-putting.
Yeah, like he gave up for a while in AEW, but this was really good. They had a lot of theatrics, a lot of run-ins, ref bumps. This had a lot of Jeff Jarrett TNA type stuff in the match, but I thought it worked well. The crowd was engaged throughout. Very surprising finish.
Yeah.
But they did kind of pay homage to the original Wembley Stadium match with Brett and British Bulldog. They were friends going in, and there was basically a roll-up finish of how that match ended and how MJF and Adam Cole's match ended in a roll-up. So good little homage to that match. Yeah, I did enjoy this match. Really, and the whole pay-per-view I enjoyed. But this match was probably up there, my match of the night.
Yeah. I mean, what can you say? Even if it's not the best wrestling match of the night, the fact that it went on last, the stakes were there, and it just delivered.
The crowd heat.
Yeah.
The crowd heat for it too. I was expecting Kyle O'Reilly to make a run in. I thought that's where they were gonna go. But maybe he's like worse off than we think.
That's true. I can't really I was starting to think the same thing, especially with the ref bump and everything, but you can't fault him for that because you don't know.
It was very surprising though, because there was nobody that turned heel. They just hugged and kissed, and the show went off the air. I was kind of half expecting Punk to make a little appearance, hold up the title, and build to like a unification match. But apparently Punk was already out the building by then, so that's probably why they didn't go with that.
Yeah. I mean, and who knows? That might have been planned. I guess we'll never know, but
Because didn't MJF come out after CM Punk won?
Yeah.
When he made his return?
Yeah, at All Out last year.
Yeah. Yeah, so they could have had like a full circle type thing, but
I mean, I agree.
he had to choke out Jungle Boy.
Oh well, should have run his mouth. We've somehow full circled. I'm honestly really shocked. If you enjoyed this pay-per-view, then that's high praise. I texted you after it was over. I said I really enjoyed this, but I'm never sure how you feel about AEW pay-per-views. Definitely boosted by the fact that it was a giant stadium and the people were live all night.
Yeah, felt big time.
Yeah, and MJF and Cole felt big time, and that's saying something because I never thought I would say that about Adam Cole. But this match, 100% deserved the main event, and I wouldn't have changed a thing about it.
Yeah, it's changed my perspective a lot on Adam Cole and in AEW so far. So much that I think they should have turned Adam Cole heel here and had him beat MJF and have MJF chase. But bro, they need heels. Who's a big heel on AEW right now?
Punk.
Well, not you can't count backstage work as being a heel.
Well, he gets booed.
Yeah. Still, though, he might not be there much longer.
Yeah.
I'm saying, who's a heel in the company?
You got Christian, but obviously he's kind of wrapped up with the TNT stuff.
And he doesn't really win anything.
Yeah. Swerve is upper mid card.
He doesn't win. Yeah.
Mox, Cesaro.
He's already had his time. Cesaro lost to the mascot.
No,
and they stuck him on ROH. They stuck him on ROH for a reason. They don't care about Cesaro. They never even let him talk.
Jericho, perhaps.
I thought he turned babyface.
Well, I don't know. I kind of thought that, but at the same time, I don't know that it was ever a full send turn because like Will was gonna be cheered in the UK anyways. You know what I mean?
Well, regardless, if Jericho is still heel, they've already done Jericho and MJF.
You've got a good point. I really don't know. And that was
They're lacking on the heel side.
yeah, and even they don't really put heels over that much. Like that's the issue. They have heels. They just haven't gotten any established wins, or at least ones that I can think of right now. Um,
This would be a great time to have Kenny in the main event scene, but I don't know. Maybe his body's broken down so much he doesn't want to be a singles competitor anymore. It definitely seems like it.
yeah, because you would think you would have more singles. At least that's the way I would book them because people seem to resonate more with him than they do the Bucks. Like they don't turn his matches off as much, at least.
His body's just probably beat down, just like Malachi Black. Yeah, I don't know if I said it on the pod, but I saw a comment the other day that said that he's only had 6 matches, like singles matches in the AEW throughout his entire time there. And one of the reasons is because his back is in really bad shape. So he prefers to be in tag matches, but it's still crazy that a lot of those guys that they signed, Keith Lee, Malachi Black, Andrade, Kenny Omega, they don't really have a lot of singles matches on TV when you compare them to guys like Orange Cassidy and John Moxley and guys like that who wrestle every week pretty much in singles competition.
Yeah, even Punk. I mean, daggum, I think he's already had 3 or 4 singles matches since he's been back. Already beaten Malachi in
Mate,
like 2 months.
do you would you fast track Ricky Starks back to Dynamite to feud with MJF,
You
or would you keep his stuff on Collision going?
you definitely could. I saw somebody say today that they could get Punk in to drop the belt to Ricky and then run a
I
unification
wouldn't like
story to
that.
Full Gear. But yeah, I wouldn't really like that either because I feel like your biggest marquee would be Punk versus MJF. That's another reason I don't think they should have taken the belt off Cole. I do agree with you though, because that was my
Taking
one.
the title off MJF.
Yeah, giving the belt to Cole. Um,
Yeah.
but my main takeaway from this is where do they go now? I mean, I know they're still tag champs, but in terms of like
Yeah.
feud, Roddy as a main, world title contender,
No.
I don't buy that.
No way.
So
Oh.
I guess we'll have to wait and see, and that's kind of what the whole wrestling business is about.
Yeah.
I have to tune in on Wednesday to figure out what they do, especially about this whole Punk and Jungle Boy situation. We'll see what fake report comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, and we'll be reviewing All Out. All Out this Sunday or Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday is Payback, right? And All Out is Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I got Monday off,
They could
so
Is that Labor Day?
yeah, Labor Day's Monday.
Yeah. Well, I guess they could run back Cole and MJF for pay-per-view on Sunday.
I don't know. I think it's lost its luster. Like, I don't think people want to see that again.
You can say Cole comes out and said, I need one more match. And then he turns heel in that one. I guess they could do that.
That kind of feels, I don't know.
Yeah, Russo-ish.
Yeah, because it kind of felt like they crossed a bridge this time, where it's like, okay, the belt doesn't matter. Our friendship.
Yeah.
Makes me think of the daggone Mortal Kombat friendship ending every time. But all in all, what do you rate AEW All In?
Probably my second favorite, maybe third favorite pay-per-view all year, including both companies. Definitely my favorite AEW pay-per-view of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I can see myself going back and watching a couple of these matches.
Yeah. I could honestly sit down and watch most of the whole event and be like, yep. Skip the ones that we kind of butchered.
Yeah, Stadium Stampede, where they actually did try to butcher each other in the match.
I don't know number necessarily, but I will give it the praise of top 3 AEW pay-per-views for me. It's up there with Revolution 2022. We were there for that one, so that's kind of hard. Plus the MJF dog collar. I will say I think more of the matches on this card delivered, but because we were there live, that's hard to put it over that one. The only other one is All Out 2021, I'm sorry, when Punk returned. But, you know, it depends on the day. You ask me tomorrow, I might say All In was better. I really have to sit down and look at the cards and think about it. But
the crowd added a lot to it.
Yeah, the whole atmosphere and every match, like I said, aside from what 2, was really good, and I could go back and watch. I've already went back and watched Punk and Samoa Joe, so that tells you right there. I almost never do that with anything we review.
Yeah,
but we'll be back later this week reviewing all the weekly programming. A really tough Friday night SmackDown to get through. We'll go over that. Collision, you know, I would have thrown it in with this show, but not really much happened. There was an 8-man tag that was kind of cool, but I honestly don't think we're going to talk about anything there. We'll have Raw, we'll have Dynamite, and
everything's kind of outdated on Collision too.
Yeah, that's why I was just going to lump it in with this one, but because they taped it before, I don't think they were going to put much on it. So, we can do without it for 1 week. And we'll see what the fallout from this is. I don't really know, but I guess we'll know all the final details by Sunday, I'm assuming, because if Punk's going to be there, he will be there this week. But in the meantime, make sure to check us out on all our social media. We've been uploading full episodes to YouTube, so, you know, check those out too. Share it with your friends if they don't have Spotify or Apple Music. Trying to get some stuff out there. If you're an editor and you feel generous, come edit some clips for us. We would be very appreciative. Anyways, social media at Scoop Slam Pod. Make sure to check us out on Audible. Get you a free Audible subscription. For 1 month, Audible Premium Plus, you get 2 free audiobooks as well. That's with our link tree, linktr.ee/Scoop Slam Pod. It'll be the first link at the top. Or if you go to any of our social media pages, it's linked there in the bio. So make sure to support us there. Make sure to come back this week as we review all the weekly programming. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And in the meantime, stay safe. Have a good one.